It reacts to give us power, and sometimes the reactions can give us problems too. That's what we have seen in Japan. Welcome once again to News Analysis. News Analysis, a weekly magazine on current affairs. To begin with, the main points in a nutshell. With quest to cool fuel roads tumbling, US sees weeks of struggle. Radiation spread seen, frantic repairs go on. UN backs action against Gaddafi. Pakistan Army Chief Kayani in US drone outburst. Wikileaks Congress Party bought India votes. Doctors suspended over pregnant women death. And now the news in detail. With quest to cool fuel roads tumbling, US sees weeks of struggle. Amid widening alarm in the United States and elsewhere about the Japan's nuclear crisis, military fire trucks began spraying cooling water on spent fuel roads at the country's stricken nuclear power station late Thursday after earlier efforts to cool the roads failed, Japanese officials said. The United States top nuclear official followed up his bleak appraisal of the grave situation at the plant the day before with caution that it would take some time, possibly weeks, to resolve. The development came as authorities reached for even more desperate and unconventional methods to cool damaged reactors, deploying helicopters and water cannons in a race to prevent perilous overheating in the spent roads of the No. 3 reactor. Moments before the military trucks began spraying, police officers in water cannon trucks were forced back by high levels of radiation in the same area. The police had been trying to get within 50 yards of the reactor 106 at the plant. The 5 specially fitted military trucks sprayed water for about an hour, but the impact of the tactic was not immediately clear. The Japanese efforts focused on a different part of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station, 140 miles northeast of Daiichi. From the reactor No. 4 depicted in Washington on Wednesday as presenting as far bleaker threat than the Japanese government had offered. The decision to focus on No. 3 reactor appeared to suggest that Japanese officials believe it's a greater threat, since it is the only one that's side-loaded with a mixed fuel known as MOX for mixed oxide, which includes reclaimed plutonium. Western nuclear engineers have said that the release of MOX into the atmosphere would produce a more dangerous radioactive plume than the dispersal of uranium-fueled roads at the site. The Japanese authorities also expressed concern on Wednesday that the pressure in the No. 3 reactor had plunged and that either gauges were malfunctioning or a rupture had already occurred. Radiation spread seen, frantic repairs go on. The first readings from American data collection flights over the stricken Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant in northeastern Japan show that the worst contamination has not spread beyond the 19-mile range of highest concern established by Japanese authorities. But another day of frantic efforts to cool nuclear fuel in the troubled reactors and in the plant's spent fuel pools resulted in little or no progress, according to United States government officials. Japanese officials said they would continue those efforts, but were also racing to restore electric power to the site to get equipment going again, leaving open the question of why that effort did not begin days ago at the first signs that the critical backup cooling systems for the reactors had failed.
The water levels began to drop and expose the red-hot core of uranium. It hits 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Within 30 minutes, you can start to get a core meltdown. Now, what's preventing that is the emergency core cooling system, the backup system. But the backup systems are failing. Power went out in the backup system. This is what normally happens. In a nuclear accident, immediately, the generators kick in, pour cooling water over the damaged core. Right now, we're desperately trying to put generators on site. 14 generators have now arrived. They're testing them, they're inserting them, but it's a race against time, because if a secondary earthquake hits, the accident could go to a whole new level.
The data was collected by the aerial measuring system amongst the most sophisticated devices rushed to Japan by Obama administration in an effort to help contain a nuclear crisis that a top American nuclear official said Thursday could go on for weeks.
Reactors has had half their core exposed already. This is the one they're now flooding with seawater in a desperate effort to prevent it from a complete meltdown. They also have lost control of a second reactor right next to it that is a partial meltdown, and there actually is a third reactor at a related site about 20 kilometers away that they've also lost control over. So you have multiple reactor crises at the same time. We've never had a situation.
UN backs action against Gaddafi. The UN Security Council has backed a no-fly zone over Libya and all necessary measures, short of an invasion, to protect civilians and civilian-populated areas. In New York, the 15-member body voted 10-0 in favor with abstentions. Libyan leader Colonel Muammar Gaddafi's forces have recently retaken several towns seized by rebels in an uprising. Rebel forces reacted with joy in their Benghazi stronghold, but a government spokesman condemned UN aggression. Loyalist forces are bearing down on Benghazi, home to 1 million people. Threatens unity following the vote. US President Barack Obama called the French and British leaders to discuss the next move. They said Libya must comply immediately with the resolution. It is not thought that the US would be involved in the first strikes, but the British and French are likely to get logistical backup from Arab allies. There were reports military action could come soon. US officials said an attack on Colonel Gaddafi's air force could begin by Sunday. The UK, France and Lebanon proposed Security Council Resolution 1973 with US support. Russia and China, which often oppose the use of force against a sovereign country as they believe it sets a dangerous precedent, abstained rather than using their power to veto as permanent members. French Foreign Minister Alain Juppé, introducing the resolution, said, in Libya, for a number of weeks, a people's will has been shot down by Colonel Gaddafi, who is attacking his own people. We cannot let those warmongers do this. We cannot abandon civilians, he's added. We should not arrive too late. The U.S. ambassador to the UN, Susan Rice, said, this resolution should send a strong message to Colonel Gaddafi and his regime that the violence must stop, the killing must stop, and the people of Libya must be protected and have the opportunity to express themselves freely. British Ambassador to the UN, Sir Mark Liao Grant, said, the international community has come together in deploring the actions of the Gaddafi regime and demanding that the regime end this violence against the Libyan people. He said the UK was ready to shoulder our responsibility. But Germany, which abstained, will not be contributing to the military effort. Foreign Minister Guido Westerwelle said his government sees considerable dangers and risks in military action against Colonel Gaddafi.
Today, the Security Council has responded to the Libyan people's cry for help. This council's purpose is clear: to protect innocent civilians. On February 26th, acting under Chapter 7, the Security Council demanded a halt to the violence in Libya and enabled genuine accountability for war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Pakistan's army chief has condemned the latest raid by U.S. unmanned drones as intolerable and unjustifiable. In a strongly worded statement, General Ashfaq Parvez Kayani said the attack, which killed about 40 people, was in complete violation of human rights. Most of the victims were believed to be civilians attending a tribal meeting near North Waziristan's regional capital, Miranja. Tension has been growing in recent weeks between the US and Pakistan. The US drone attacks were a long-running source of bad feeling, but the acquittal of CIA contractor Raymond Davis of murder has sparked protests across Pakistan. The Pakistani military often makes statements regretting the loss of life in such incidents, but rarely criticizes the attack themselves. General Kayani, however, said such acts of violence make it harder to fight terrorism. It is highly regrettable that Jirga meeting of peaceful citizens, including elders of the area, was carelessly targeted with complete disregard to human life, he said. It has been highlighted clearly that such aggression against people of Pakistan is unjustified and intolerable under any circumstances. Pakistan's intelligence agency is often accused of complicity in the raids, either by supporting them or allowing them to happen.
बल्कि ये काम अवाम के या हुकूमत के करने के हैं, लेकिन फौज अवाम का और मुल्क का एक हिस्सा है, इसलिए हम चाहते हैं कि जब हम आपके साथ यहाँ मौजूद हों तो आपकी तरक्की में भी आपके साथ शामिल हों। बुनियादी काम हुकूमत का है, लेकिन फौज का ताउन हमेशा आपके साथ शामिल रहेगा।